All right, guys, we are back. Frankie and Johnny with the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast coming at you with week 7. We're going to get you everything you need to know about week 7 with news and notes. We're going to preview the Thursday night football game and the Sunday morning game in London. And then we're going to give you our hit its and quit its, our starts and sits of the week. So make sure you sub up on YouTube, guys. Watch the videos, like, subscribe, share, and let's have a great time. Let's go. All right. Welcome to the show. This is the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast. We are your hosts, Frankie and Johnny. Frankie, welcome back from the hurricane, brother. Guys, we were off last week. We apologize. Frankie went on vacation, decided to take his kids to Disney World, and had to evacuate a hurricane here. And welcome back, Frankie. I'm sorry we missed you last week, but welcome back, brother. Let's get after it this week, right?
So happy to be back. And the viewers, listeners, guys, again, thank you all for, sending a couple notes and all sorts of stuff. It was crazy, John. I mean, for those, I'm talking guys, I got a 5-year-old, I got a 3-year-old. We're going to go to Disney. No, the fuck you're not. You're going to drive 28 hours in 3 days and dead stop traffic. So, I'm so happy to be back and ready to talk about some week 7, baby.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get it. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and watching. Please follow us on social media. We're everywhere. We're TikTok. We're Instagram. We're Facebook, Frankly Fantasy Football. We're on X, Frankly Fantasy F. And we know you all listen on audio while you're working out and going for walks and all that stuff. But please, guys, watch and subscribe on YouTube. Watch the video. Watch our beautiful faces. But please, sub up, subscribe, Frankly Fantasy Football. All right, Frankie, let's get into some news here, baby. How about it?
News and notes.
All right, hey, we got big news here. And Frankie, we haven't talked. I'm traveling in Houston. You just escaped from a hurricane. We haven't even talked about this. Breaking news right before we recorded this episode. Fan goddamn tastic. We got 2 things to talk about. First one, you ready?
Ready.
Davante Adams, wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders, traded to the New York Jets, baby, for a conditional, I think it's 3rd round pick that could end up being a 2nd round pick. All right, lay it out for me, brother. What's this mean? What's it do?
I mean, this is Aaron Rodgers' guy. For me, this immediately elevates Davante Adams. People were talking about it, John, to where, well, why would you say that? Because there's so much other competition. The reality of the situation is this actually might be the best move for Davante, because now you can't double him with Garrett Wilson. You know he's going to get the rock with Aaron Rodgers, and with all of the turmoil happening in with the Jets, with Robert Saleh being gone, Nathaniel Hackett being demoted, there's a new play caller and everything. John, this could be gold for fantasy for Davante Adams. So yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see how this unfolds.
All right, so we think it's going to be good for Davante Adams. I agree. I mean, he was upset with the Raiders because of the shitty quarterback play. They thought maybe he might stay because Aiden O'Connell was looking like he was going to start. He gone. He's with Aaron now. He's clearly going to be a favorite target. He's clearly going to be fed the ball. Garrett Wilson is not a 50-50 ball guy. He's just not. He's proven that this year. We've seen it now with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. Davante Adams is. I think he could be a touchdown machine for this team. What does it do for the ancillary pieces? What do we do? It's going to elevate Rodgers. So if you're starting Rodgers, most likely it's in a super flex 2-quarterback league. It's going to elevate Rodgers. He should throw more touchdowns. He should have more success throwing the ball to both Garrett and to Davante. What does it do to the running game? What does it do to Garrett Wilson?
John, I don't think we will see even close to another 23 target game from Garrett Wilson this year now. I think that needs to be, in the rear view mirror and looked at and everything along those lines. I just don't see that happening again now with Davante. And so what this does for Garrett Wilson, though, is, again, it's going to create more one-on-one matchups. Again, he's not a true 50-50 guy like you mentioned, but where Garrett Wilson thrives, though, John, is in that mid-tier field. And that's where I think he could be very, very good. So I think that, Garrett Wilson, yes, is going to take a step back. I think that's just the reality of the situation when you bring in a guy of Davante Adams' caliber. But we see what Houston is doing as well, We see Nico Collins thriving with that of Stephon Diggs. And when Nico Collins is going down, Tank Dell is up also alongside Stephon Diggs. So there are quarterbacks that we've seen that can handle two superstars. And that's just one example. There are multiple. And so for me, man, I think that Garrett Wilson is taking a step back. I think that Davante is going to take a step up. But when you say the running game, John, this is going to open up the floor even more for Breece. There's no way it doesn't. They have to honor now other people than just Garrett Wilson on this team from a receiving perspective. Sure, Allen Lazard has done well in his absence. Guys, Allen Lazard is going to be third fiddle by a lot now.
He's a jag, man.
He's a jag at
Just
this point.
Guy.
So, John, I think this increases Breece Hall. I think this actually increases, as we mentioned, Davante Adams. And man, I think it's a step back from Garrett Wilson, but I don't know how much. So it's gonna be cool to see how this unfolds.
I don't know how much of a step back it's going to be either, because yes, he had that game with 23 targets, but he only had 13 catches of those 23 targets. So I think what it will do, you're not going to have that massive volume. He may not get the 10 targets from last week, the 23 targets from the week before, but I think he's going to be much more efficient. He's going to have lesser coverage on him, and I think he's going to be more efficient. He's not going to need 23 targets to get 13 catches. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I agree, though. The numbers, 101 and a touchdown on 10 catches, probably isn't going to be there. Yeah. But I do think it will help the team all around. I think it elevates everyone. All right, next bit of news. All right, now I'm going to have to limit you. I'm putting you on a timer, okay? Because we can only record for so long here. Amari Cooper, wide receiver of the Cleveland Browns. We've been sniffing this for a while, man, as being Browns fans. Officially traded to the Buffalo Bills, man. Josh Allen. So he's going from Deshaun Watson to Josh Allen. How happy do you think he is right now, man?
John, there's really only one way to do this. I'm going to grab my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight. Ooh, afternoon delight. Yeah, baby. Give me some Amari Cooper. Give me some Josh Allen. Give Josh Allen that number one. Watch the Bills offense take off. This is what the Bills needed, man. Fuck the Browns. We're going to set that to the side. They're a dumpster fire. Good for Amari. Good for Amari with what happened with the Brandon Ayuk shit when he's been floated out for trading. He felt burnt by that. Then, I mean, dude, obviously I wouldn't ever say somebody's purposely dropping footballs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I would bet that he doesn't drop as many footballs for the Bills as what he did for the Browns. He was so miserable here. And when I mean here, I mean for the Cleveland Browns. And so for me, man, I think that this is going to take that offense to the next level for Josh Allen, for the other receivers to help them get open, for Kincaid, for Knox. This is a brilliant move by the Buffalo Bills.
It really is, man. I mean, and you're right. It's skyrocket Amari Cooper. Now he's got Josh Allen targets coming his way. That's freaking beautiful, man. All right, now let's look at the Browns side of this. Amari Cooper's gone.
Yep.
Jerry Jeudy gets elevated to wide receiver one. Is Jerry Jeudy going to be a fantasy relevant piece? Is this a guy that you'll be able to plug into your flexes in a flex or a double flex and play the guy?
Yes, he should be. He should be, right? When you pay a guy what he got paid and knowing that he was a first round draft pick to the Denver Broncos and being like, this is what this was set up for. I mean, at the end of the day, Amari wasn't more than likely going to be re-signed by the Browns anyways after this year. So they're leaning on Jeudy for that number one spot. So for me, man, yes, I think this does elevate Jeudy. I think you need to temper expectations because the person throwing him the ball is god awful, is terrible. But for me, man, this elevates one person more than anything, and it's David Njoku. David Njoku is going to be the centerpiece outside of maybe Nick Chubb when he comes back and he's healthy, is going to be the centerpiece of this offense. And I think the ancillary pieces around him, like Cedric Tillman, like Jerry Jeudy and some of these other guys, I think they're just going to, be there. They're going to be Jags. But I think the offense now is going to run through Njoku and Chubb.
I agree with that. Jerry Jeudy has looked good when he's played, though. Amari Cooper missed a game. He had 6 catches on 9 targets, so like 75 yards. Did pretty well. I mean, he looks good. I think he can be a viable piece.
Sure.
Yeah, I think he could be a flex piece. Yeah, and you're right. If David Njoku is completely healthy, I think he's going to be such a huge piece for Deshaun. They're not throwing the ball down the field anyway, so Njoku's mid-range, short-range, targets are going to be perfect for Deshaun.
Here's what's crazy, John, and then we'll move on, is that now the Browns' leading touchdown provider, go-getter, is now our safety, our backup safety, with 2 touchdowns. So I just had to throw that out there.
He is the only person on the Cleveland Browns with multiple touchdowns. Wow. And it's week 7 coming up. Yeah, that's sad. That's sad. Yeah, let's move on. I'm getting depressed here, man. I need to take a pill or something. Hang on here. All right, some weird news out of Pittsburgh, man. This is interesting. Russell Wilson expected to get the first team reps in practice and potentially start in week 7. I see this as them kind of fucking with the Jets a little bit and just kind of trolling them. Makes it very difficult to prepare. I think it'd be foolish not to have Justin Fields starting. He's played so well. Their offensive line is banged up. You might need a guy who's going to be able to run away from that pass rush. What are you thinking on this? I know you're a Justin Fields owner, so you're wishing him into the starting lineup, but
Sure.
What do you think's the reality here?
John, I think the reality is I hope they are screwing around. And it's crazy to me that honestly that the Pittsburgh Steelers would even think to do this right now, because if I'm looking at what Justin Fields is doing from a pure statistical perspective, man, he is doing a pretty damn good job. To put it in perspective, starting from week 3, John, he was QB 12. Week 4, he was QB 1. Week 5, he was QB 16. And last week against Vegas, he was QB 7. So what that's telling me, man, is that he is producing for this team. They are winning, and they're not winning necessarily, I guess, because of him. It's more because of the defense, but he's also not putting them in a position to lose. And so for me, man, I think that this would more than likely be a potential mistake for the Steelers. It could cause some turmoil. But, I mean, who knows, man? Maybe they do go with Russ. Maybe they want to see what he's got. And if it doesn't pan out, maybe they look to trade him after this week. But it would be hard to bench Justin Fields after what the Steelers have really been doing.
10 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, you've got a quarterback with that kind of defense that they've got that's thrown 1 pick in 6 games. I'm going to roll with that guy, man. It just seems like a mistake to me. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they've got some cool shit lined up for prime time or something like that, where they want to get Russell Wilson and Fields on the field at the same time, gets Fields out in space, maybe with a wheel route or something. I don't know. We'll see. I hope that's the case. That'd be cool. But for fantasy purposes, it sucks. You're not going to know what to do. So pay attention with that. All right, let's move on here. Cooper Kupp getting good news here, Frankie. I know you and I are both heavily invested in Cooper Kupp. He's getting close to returning. Positive workouts so far. They're going to see how he practices, hopefully getting him on the field. Doesn't look like it's going to be week 7, maybe 8, maybe 9, but it's coming soon, guys. We're getting there. I know we're all excited. All right, Anthony Richardson, quarterback for the Colts, is set to start on Sunday versus Miami, barring any setbacks. Really difficult. While we're on the Colts, I want to talk about him a second. Michael Pittman Jr. also, weird quote here, man, says that an IR stint is still on the table after playing through his back injury. Michael Pittman we thought he was going to be out. He ended up playing. I think he just decided, can I play through the pain? Maybe he numbed it a bit, got a couple shots, whatever they do. Sounds like it's hurting bad. He could still go on IR. Are you just planning to not use Michael Pittman this week? Even with Anthony Richardson coming back, it does lower his value anyway a little bit from Flacco, right?
It does. John, it does. Flacco has raised the bar for Michael Pittman Jr. And if Anthony Richardson comes back, he was targeting Pittman, but there was no substance coming from it. And what we actually saw was it was Alex Pierce deep down the field, was the guy who was making the big plays when they needed it. So yeah, man, this is going to be a tough one. If you're a Michael Pittman Jr. owner, try to get Josh Downs, maybe take a flyer on Alec Pierce or something. I think Adonai Mitchell has been kind of a bust, unfortunately from a rookie perspective. So I maybe would look elsewhere from him. But yeah, this is tough for Michael Pittman Jr. owners.
Are you starting Anthony Richardson versus Miami in a single quarterback league?
No, I am not, guys. And it's just because of the injury history. I mean, he could go out there, take a run, and then get hit in the oblique or something like that. And now he's benched, right? And especially with how well Flacco's been playing. I mean, I'm not saying that they would bench him because they have too much stock in him.
Right.
But damn, man, it's really hard to ignore how well Flacco played. So this week I'm just letting it sit. I want to see how everything unfolds. I want to know what's going on with Michael Pittman Jr. I want to know what's going on with Anthony Richardson, and then look elsewhere.
All right, I'm going to take you down a little lane called hamstring lane here, Frankie.
Ooh.
We've got a couple of occupants on hamstring lane. Travis Etienne, week to week with a hamstring. Week to week, guys, that's not day to day. Day to day is he could practice tomorrow. He could play this week. Week to week means he's probably missing this week, could miss next week as well. So keep that in mind. There's a couple of these guys you're going to have to watch. Travis Etienne, running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jerome Ford, week to week with a hamstring for the Cleveland Browns. You got Nick Chubb coming back. He's going to be in a limited capacity, I'm sure. Diontae Foreman and Nick Chubb looks like they're going to be running in the backfield. They may have to use Nick Chubb more than they thought, man. Tajay Spears, week to week with a hamstring as well. So you got Tony Pollard alone in that backfield. Start his ass. Dallas Goedert also left the game with a hamstring injury. Okay, that's hamstring lane. Now let's talk about Dontavian Wicks. He's week to week as well, receiver for the Green Bay Packers. He's had smash matchups, Frankie, and it's been so frustrating. Start of the week for me. I mean, every fantasy analyst had Dontavian Wicks as their cream puff start of the week. The guy hasn't done it in either of the 2 weeks with Christian Watson out, man. Really disappointing. Okay, Tua. Let's talk about this here. All right. Tua is expected to return. All right. Despite the calls for him to retire and some of the medical professionals saying he really should consider it, he's coming back. He's going to play. Not sure exactly what it looks like. It's not going to be this week, but yeah, they're hoping to have him back here really soon. As a Tyreek Hill owner, I'm for it, man. Come on. Come as soon as possible. I couldn't make a trade and get rid of him. I had to hold on to him. So I need Tua back, baby. All right. Marvin Harrison Jr., Marv, left the game with a concussion. We're going to go down concussion alley now. Marvin Harrison Jr. left the game with a concussion, likely to be out this week. Chris Olave also left the game with a concussion. Brutal one there. Most likely going to be out this week. Also, keep an eye on Malik Neighbors. Okay, every concussion's different, and I haven't heard word that he's definitely a go for this week. So keep an eye on that as well. He's still in the concussion protocol. Ricky Pearsall. Let's talk about a little bit of good news here, Frankie. We got some guys that may be returning. Interesting guys that we haven't seen yet. Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers, is expected to open his practice window this week after being shot in the chest. He was put on IR. How about that, man?
Yeah.
Jonathan Brooks, rookie running back for the Carolina Panthers, is checking all the boxes, and they may open his practice window very, very soon. So that's a good sign. It'll be slow going. I mean, you've got Chubb coming back. You've got Jonathan Brooks coming back. These guys are going to be slow going. And the main reason for Chubb is such a devastating injury. They're not going to want to hurt him and keep him healthy. But for Jonathan Brooks, Chuba Hubbard's been playing great. Awesome. I mean, you're not just going to bench Chuba Hubbard and bring on a rookie who's never played football and had coming off of a knee injury. So going to be interesting. I've got Jonathan Brooks. I know you do as well. I've got him in a couple of leagues. We're just going to have to monitor this. I'm very excited to get him off my IR slot, to get him onto my bench. So at least I can play and tickle with the idea of getting him in my lineup soon. But it's coming, guys. It's coming soon. So that's great news. Another guy returning here, TJ Hawkinson. Now, this guy is ready to go. He's been practicing. Yeah. He's going to be returning real soon. Could be this week. More likely, it's looking like they play Thursday night football next Thursday. They'll probably wait until then, give him an extra 4 days. Coming back off IR like that and playing a game that quick, 2 games that quick back-to-back might be rough on him. So we'll see. Although it is a revenge game with the Detroit Lions, I think that's why he's trying to get in the lineup this week, man. Should be cool. All right. Nick Chubb, we just talked about that. He is expected to make his return this week. Temper your expectations. It's likely to be a shared backfield, although not a lot to share with there. What are you thinking about Chubb? Are you waiting and seeing, Frank, or with all of these running back injuries, are you going to throw him into a lineup if you had to?
I am. John, I'm telling you right now, I'm starting Nick Chubb this week, and it's solely because of the other injuries that I have. And
look at the balls on you, baby. Dude, look at the balls on you.
Fucking balls, baby. Yeah, So, dude, I'm firing him up with Jerome Ford being out and with a lot of the other injuries. Guys, I mean, what? You think Diontae Foreman is going to have 15, 20 rushes? I mean, it's hard to fathom that with Nick Chubb. I mean, I just think that even if Nick Chubb gets 10 rushes, he could still have 70 yards. I mean, and still do better over some of the other options on the waiver wire right now. So for me, man, if you're in that position, maybe you have Aaron Jones, or maybe you had a James Cook, or you're battling the Brian Robinson issues, or whatever it may be. I think that that's a viable option, and it's not a great one, but it's a viable one. So for me, man, I am starting Nick Chubb with the balls on this, baby.
All right, let's get to one more depressing piece of news here. I just have to list the running backs, guys. There's just so many. Okay, we only do this show one day a week, and for 40 minutes or 50 minutes, it's not enough time. Otherwise, it'd be an entire episode of news. There's running back injuries that you must monitor this week. Some of these guys will not play, but a couple of these guys may end up playing. You're going to have to watch these. I'm just going to list them out for you. Jonathan Taylor with an ankle. Devon Achane still in the concussion protocol. He could play this week. Aaron Jones with a hip injury. He's trying to get on the field this week. Doesn't look great, but it's possible. Jordan Mason with a shoulder, again, trying to get on the field. He could play this week. James Cook with a foot, kind of a surprise. No play on Monday Night Football there. Watch that this week. Ray Davis was an excellent backup. He looked really good. Make sure you've got him on your roster. Ramondre Stevenson with a foot. Brian Robinson with a knee. Devin Singletary still out with a groin. Again, Tyrone Tracy as a backup. If you've got him, plug his ass in. Great matchup this week as well. James Conner with an ankle. Rashad White with a foot. Zamir White with a foot. And Jerome Ford and Tajay Spears both with hamstrings. So watch these guys this week, man. This is going to be hopefully about our Fridays with Frankie. Every Friday we do a reel that we send out Instagram, everywhere on social media and on YouTube. Make sure you watch that. Frankie comes on. It's a minute long. It's the top 5 things you need to know, and I guarantee those names are going to be in it this week. So tune in and stay tuned for that. All right, Frank, let's talk about this week now. All the injuries, let's wipe them off. Get rid of that injury. Give me some sage.
Disgusting.
Ugh, God, it's gross, man. All right, let's look at week 7 now, baby. We got week 7 buys. There are 2 teams. Thank God it's just 2 this time that we have to deal with. Dallas Cowboys are on a bye. Chicago Bears are on a bye. A lot of fantasy players in those 2 teams, though. Let's talk a little bit about Thursday night, Frank. Let's do a Thursday night preview. Talk to me about what we got going on here, man.
John, we got the 3-3 Broncos. How about that? Broncos making a huge swing and at the Saints, who are 2-4. Is that right, John? Can you confirm that? I mean, 2-4 Saints. That's crazy. So, guys, it's at the Saints. For me, man, looking at the fantasy perspective, John, talking Broncos first. Courtland Sutton can absolutely be a start at this point in time. It is definitely the guy that Bo Nix is looking at. And for me, man, this is a good plug and play if you have CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, some of these other dudes on the bye weeks. Plug in Courtland Sutton. Absolutely. The other interesting thing, John, is I'm not opposed, if you need it and the waiver wire is thin, to maybe even firing up Bo Nix. Here's an interesting line. It's disgusting. I get it. But here's the deal. Game script could be very positive, number 1. Number 2, their rushing attack has been very null and void, barely been there. In addition to this, Bo Nix is coming off from a fantasy perspective, back-to-back 20-point plus games. And so all of this kind of feeding in, if you need a plug and play, I actually think this could be a fun plug and play. I'm not saying it's a great one. I'm saying this could be a fun one. It could be interesting. So I actually like that. And I'll touch on Bo Nix here in a minute. Let's shift to the Saints. John, with the Saints, you're firing up Kamara. You're firing up Shaheed. You're firing up Olave. Now, all of those guys I just said are all injured. So you got to be paying attention to them, right? You mentioned Olave with the concussion. Shaheed's knee, he's getting some MRIs and additional medical reviews on his particular knee. That could be very concerning. And then obviously Kamara's banged up pretty much from usage at this point. So if they play, you have to start them. But be aware, if Rashid Shaheed, John, can't play, dude, there's a guy that nobody is talking about. Bub Means. Super long play, guys. Super long play. Okay. He had a touchdown last week. He's a 5th rounder rookie from Pitt. And again, I probably am looking elsewhere, just candidly speaking, but this guy came on when Rashid went down and Olave went down. And so, again, if you need a plug and play, if you need a desperate Hail Mary, if you need an absolute something, he may be something that's of interest. And the last guy, John, that I want to hit on is Juwan Johnson. I think he can be started as a tight end this week in case you need it.
Hey, Bub means when you're saying that, all I'm thinking about is DFS. Give me a cheap guy that can get you a home run touchdown and help you win a little bit of money in your DFS lineup. So, yeah, that's what I'm hearing when you're saying that, man.
Totally. And John, you know what? We got to frank it up a little bit. Hit that shit.
Let's frank it up, baby.
Let's frank it up.
Yeah.
You got to frank it up.
Frank it up. Frank it up.
Yeah.
And John, as we frank it up, guys, just a reminder, we have an awesome partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert, right? Opening up an opportunity for you guys to join some of our, Frankly's, favorite sports books to get the best odds and new user offers. So all you have to do, guys, listen, head over to our dedicated page, signupexpert.com/Frankly, to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region and each with unique offerings. So what does that mean? You put in 20 bucks on a sports book that you don't have, you get a couple bonus bets back. So check it out. If you're interested in checking out some of those other sports books, do it. And, we get a little bit of credit on the back end. And with that being said, if you're looking at a particular bet, John, there's one that's interesting, and it's going back to Bo Nix.
Oh my
I
God.
like Bo Nix over 175 yards passing. Right now, you can get that under -130. So that means better than -130. You can even get Bo Nix over 200 if you're feeling kind of frisky, over 200 for +136. So for me, man, I think that it's going to be a lot of fun. I think that Bo Nix is going to be really showing out here, and he's going to have to throw the ball in order to keep up with the Saints, man.
He's thrown over 200 yards in 4 of the past 5 games. I think it's a hell of a bet, man.
Yeah,
I think it's I had to double check it and look at it. It didn't feel that way to me, but that's what the
double
stats
check.
All right, man. All right, baby. Let's take it to the next level here and let's do our hit it's and quit it's. Yeah. Love this song. Okay. Hit it's and quit it's, guys. These are our starts and sits for the week. Frankie and I each have 3 starts. We each have 2 sits. Let's go. Let's get after it. Frankie, who's your first hit it?
My hit it of the week, start of the week, is Zay Flowers at Tampa Bay. Guys, he's going nuclear. He's going nuclear. If you're in a 10-man league, you need to start him. I know you probably have other receivers that have better name value. It doesn't matter. This guy has back-to-back 20-point games, 21 targets in the last 2 games, and this is going to be a positive game script. Tampa Bay's offense is on fire right now, is absolutely on fire. And with Baltimore playing at Tampa Bay, with Baker and all the hype there, with Lamar and everything along those lines, man, I'm telling you, this guy's a target monster. I love him. Start Zay Flowers this week.
Yeah, baby. Let's go, Zay. All right, my first hit it of the week. We're going to go to, Frankie, I'm going to need you to pull the guitar out for this one, baby. We're talking Austin Ekeler versus the Carolina Panthers. Yeah. All right, Brian Robinson's looking like he may be out again. It is just the juiciest of juicy matchups, guys, for a running back. It's awesome. He's getting it done in the air as well with 5 targets last week. We know Austin Ekeler can do that. Listen, if he's alone in this backfield with Brian Robinson out, look at what Carolina has done over the last 3 games. I'm not cherry picking here. This is the last 3 games here. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Allgeier both had over 100 yards. Chase Brown and Zach Moss each nearly hit 100 yards rushing. Each of them. DeAndre Swift was well over 100 yards in the last 3 games against these guys. So these guys are just, it's the runnest of run funnels you've ever seen in your life. Austin Ekeler, even if Brian Robinson's playing, I'm feeling great about starting him. But if he doesn't, skyrocket, baby. I'm going to have you sing that Afternoon Delight song one more time for Austin Ekeler. But yeah, fire him up. Have a great time with it. Get your air guitars out.
Love it, John. John, my number 2 start of the week, guys, is going to be Scary Terry versus that of Carolina. I'm in the flames with you with Washington, baby. And here's the reason. This is unbelievable. The first 2 weeks, it was miserable with Scary Terry. It was miserable. I agree. Since week 3, so the last 4 weeks, he's been receiver 14, receiver 16, receiver 28, and receiver 5 in full PPR. What does that mean? That means in the last 4 games combined, he's had 31 targets, 317 yards, 4 touchdowns on top of a phenomenal matchup. This dude is going nuclear right now in what he's doing. And since week 3, John, he hasn't had less in full PPR than 17 points. Guys, this is somebody who is on the up and up and is a trade for candidate. If you can get Scary Terry right now with the way Jaden Daniels is playing, yeah, you're going to have to pay a little bit more of a premium than probably what you wanted to. But I love him moving forward from here on out. Start Scary Terry.
All right, my second hit it here, man. And we're staying in this game. Who would have thought that in week 7 of this year, we would have 3 starts of the week being a matchup between the Washington Commanders and the Carolina Panthers? I mean, this is like a throwaway matchup when you look at the schedule in the beginning of the year. But hey, it's not that these teams are great. It's just they've got some really good pieces, and they both have bad defenses. So it does create fantasy points. I love it. I'm going with Diontae Johnson, man. I'm sorry. He's been awesome as soon as he came over to Carolina. He's the wide receiver 19 on the season right now. Last four games in Carolina with Andy Dalton, 14 targets, 13 targets, 6 targets, 10 targets. The guy is a monster for the football right now. Washington, they're going to score at will, I believe. I think Jaden Daniels, with what he's doing right now, and with Austin Ekeler back there, I think they're going to score at will. So I think it will be a high-scoring game because of the defenses. Carolina's going to have to play catch-up. They're going to have to try to keep up. Diontae Johnson, this is a cheating one, but he is going to be the garbage king this week in week 7. So start him, garbage time. You're going to get a ton of points out of him.
Love it, man. Love it, John. God, and I have him too. Good start. All right, my start, number 3. Number 3 hit it, baby. David Njoku. Guys, David Njoku playing Cincinnati. We just talked about it. No Amari Cooper. Team is absolutely in turmoil. They got to find a spark somewhere. And with David Njoku coming back, his first game back again from injury, that he played a full game. He had 7 targets, 5 receptions. Guys, Cincinnati has not played well historically against the Browns. And it's opened the door for the Browns, right? I think this is an opportunity for David Njoku to finally take that step that everybody saw from last year and implement it this year again with Amari being gone. The offense has got to run through Njoku and, again, as I mentioned, Chubb eventually. So fire up David Njoku at your tight end spot and enjoy.
All right, I'm going with a running back 2 for my start of the week right here. This is my tier 3 guy. I'm going with Tyler Allgeier, running back for the Atlanta Falcons. How do you like that one, Frankie?
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, listen, guys are going to have to start Tyler Allgeier this week, but I want you to feel good about it. They're playing against Seattle. There's all these running backs injured everywhere. You're going to be starting Tyler Allgeier if you got him on your bench. Get him in your lineup. He had the best game of the year last year. I know it was against Carolina. Don't worry about that. He was 18 for 105 and a touchdown, over 20 points for you in fantasy. This week, he's at home against Seattle. You can run the ball on Seattle, and this Falcons team is definitely going to do that. He's earned more touches. Did you see, by the way, winning angry runs this week? Did you see the angry run that he had, man?
It was incredible.
It was
incredible.
He carried 6 to 8 guys 15 yards after contact. It was goddamn beautiful. Let me tell you something. That kind of attention, it's getting him on the field a lot more, and he's going to be on the field this week, man. Tyrone Tracy against this Seattle defense. Let me just give you an idea. These are the names, okay? I'm not talking CMC and Saquon and Breece and Bijan. Tyrone Tracy ran on this team for 129 yards. Jordan Mason ran on him for 73. In that same game, Jordan Mason gets hurt, and Isaac Guerendo ran for another 99 yards. These are guys that nobody knows, guys. Okay. So that's why I feel so good about Tyler Allgeier, running back 2, giving you really good fantasy points against the Seattle defense. Fire him up.
John, I love it. And guys, for Tyler Allgeier, take a step back and think about what's going on in the NFL landscape. Not injuries is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about two-back tandems, true tandems. We're seeing a lot of this shit. I mean,
and a lot of success.
A lot of success. It's incredible, man. I mean, we're looking at, it's going to be Tyrone Tracy, Devin Singletary when Devin Singletary's healthy. You absolutely have Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. You can start both those guys on the same team. We're talking Sonic and Knuckles, right? Which is literally what they said. How cool is that, by the way?
I love that. Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah. How cool is that? Somebody, it was Kay Adams or somebody like that was interviewing David Montgomery, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're Thunder and Lightning," and he goes, "No, we're Sonic and Knuckles, and I'm Knuckles." And I was like, nerd brain explosion. So fucking cool. Like, awesome. So what I'm getting at is, man, Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, like this is a real thing that's occurring for actual tandems. Austin Ekeler, Brian Robinson, right? Austin Ekeler hasn't had less in full PPR than double digits. He hasn't had less than double-digit points per on one game throughout the entire season. So this is possible. So John, I love Tyler Allgeier pick.
All right, man. Who are we quitting this week? Who do you not like, buddy?
John, I'm going to name a guy you just mentioned. It's Jordan Mason. I am quitting Jordan Mason versus that of Kansas City. Couple reasons. Jordan Mason is banged up. And it's obvious. His shoulder's screwed up. He's not running right. And John, to that point, he's had 7.3 points in half PPR week 5. He has 8.7 points in week 6. Now, granted, he has been hurt, things like that, but this is not a defense that I want to be playing, knowing that I'm banged up to the level of what he is. So because of all of this, man, I just think that you need to look elsewhere just in case. So for me, I'm sitting Jordan Mason.
Let me ask you this. If Isaac Guerrero does get the start for the 49ers against Kansas City, are you starting him? Are you playing him?
No. For me, I'm not. And even though he looked good, I'm looking elsewhere, John. I would rather start a Tyler Allgeier. Even though he's playing second fiddle to Bijan, dude, I'm starting him. Shit, man, I'm probably even starting. Well, I'm not going to say. There's another guy that, we'll talk about on a later time. But there's a few other running backs, man, that I really believe that you can put over top of that guy. So for me, man, no.
Okay. All right. My first sit it here. It's going to be George Pickens, man. I hate doing this because I am a fan. He just hasn't been getting it done. The pass volume is just not really there. But George Pickens, he's at home against the Jets. The Jets defense, listen, I know we talked about their offense a lot and the troubles they're having and the coaching changes and all. Their defense is good as hell. Their defense is still excellent, especially against the pass. I don't like George Pickens. There is not a wide receiver 2 on this team. They're going to be able to double him. You've got Sauce and you got Meatballs probably. I don't know. You're going to have multiple people on Pickens. So I think he's going to be blanketed. I think he's going to be buried. And not only that, we're not even sure if Russell Wilson starts. I really don't like it. Justin Fields does not give you the pass volume, but Russell Wilson hasn't played this year. So you can't tell me he's going to come out and just fucking ball after not playing. It's going to be a little slow going, I think, against a great defense that's really going to throw some looks at Russell Wilson if he's starting. So I'm sitting George Pickens if I have other options.
John, my second sit, and this is hard because I was touting him, loved him. I think he's a star. It's Braelon Allen, and he's playing Pittsburgh. And guys, here's the deal. Braelon Allen, before the coaching fire of Robert Saleh, before Nathaniel Hackett ended up getting demoted and things like that, Braelon Allen was a legitimate 2-piece set with that of Breece Hall. What we saw this past on Monday, the Jets versus that of the Bills, John, he had his second lowest snap percentage all year with 19%. 19% in a very good game script for him. And in addition, with that new play caller, what we saw, Breece Hall show. We saw the Breece Hall show. We saw what we thought Breece Hall was going to be all year against a good defense with the Bills. We saw Breece go nuts. On top of it, not just with the coaching changes, not just with the snap percentage, guys, he's playing Pittsburgh. I don't care if you like Pittsburgh. I don't care if you hate Pittsburgh. You got to respect that defense. It is dominant. It is incredible. And with TJ Watt, with Cameron Hayward, with a lot of these other cats, I am not willing to put Braelon Allen out there as one of my RB2 or a flex. So look elsewhere this week.
My last one here is real boring, man. There's not a lot of data to back this up other than the defense is really damn good. I'm going with Ty Chandler, running back for the Minnesota Vikings. They're coming off a bye week, and Aaron Jones is a starting running back here. He's likely to not play with a hip injury. Ty Chandler will fill in and do the dirty for him. But they're playing against this Detroit Lions team, and man, I don't know if there's a better team in the NFL right now than the Detroit Lions on all three sides of the ball. Difficult to run it against these guys, and I'm not throwing out a guy named Ty Chandler that's really got nothing to show for me against a defense like this. I know the running back situation's terrible. Look elsewhere. Look for some of these other guys. Just because he's getting the full workload doesn't mean it's going to be a good workload, guys. Don't be afraid of getting one of these splits backfields like Frankie was talking about.
John, say that again for others because I want this to resonate. Or resonate? Let's resonate it. Resonate with people. Okay, that's a Frankism. We got to write that shit down.
That's
another one.
Yeah,
resonate. Check it off the box.
Yeah.
No, but that's huge. Just because you have a guy that is starting does not mean on his team as he was a guy. The main guy got hurt. Aaron Jones. Now Ty Chandler's coming up. And against a tough defense, that doesn't mean you have to start him. There could be other areas too, as we mentioned, like the Tyler Allgeier or the Austin Ekelers or some of these other guys that might not be getting as much love as maybe what a starting Ty Chandler would get, right? So keep that in mind. It's not, you don't necessarily have to do that. So just a reminder, because I have gotten questions on that. We have from the viewers, from the listeners, from people, sending questions on YouTube. And by the way, keep that shit coming. But just know, just a reminder, just because he is a backup that is now a starter does not mean he's a good start for your fantasy team.
Yeah, that's right. I'm with it, man. That is the episode for today, baby. All right. Way to get in there. Let's get week 7 going, guys. Right. I am very, very excited here. Frankie, what else you got going on? What do we have coming up?
Guys, don't forget, Johnny mentioned it earlier, we will be dropping a Fridays with Frankie this Friday, and we will be hitting on the 5 things you need to know for the weekend. And trust me, you're going to want to tune in because the last couple weeks, guys, we've hit on a few of these guys that you really need to pay attention to. So that will be dropping on Friday. And of course, guys, we're going to have our next episode dropping next week. We will be back. Again, we apologize for the hurricane and me getting stuck and everything else. So don't forget to tune in next week. We're going to be wrapping up week 7 and heading into week 8.
That's right. And don't forget about helping out our sponsor here, guys, and helping you out by getting some bonus bets and all the stuff that comes with it here with your favorite sportsbook. Go over to our dedicated page, signupexpert.com/frankly, and sign up for your sportsbook. Place a $20 bet. You make a little thing, we make a little thing, and everybody's happy, guys. Signupexpert.com/frankly. Thank you so much for joining us and listening and watching. Follow us on all the social medias. We're everywhere, guys. You can't escape us. We're everywhere, man. Everywhere and nowhere. And make sure you sub up on YouTube, subscribe, like, follow, share, everything, baby. Do it all. Do the thing. Frankly, fantasy football. Frankie, I love you, brother. I'm glad you're home. I'm glad you're safe. And I'm glad we get to do this together, man. Let's have a great week, baby.
Let's do it, baby.
All right. May the fantasy gods smile upon you. Bye.